has continuing coverage of Vote 2016. The Connecticut primary on Tuesday has candidates campaigning all over the state like we've been talking about. And News 8 political analyst and Quinnipiac professor Dr. Kalila Brown-Dean joins us this morning to talk a little bit more about it, give us some insight into what's going on in our state this weekend. Thank you so much for being here.
Good to see you, Stephanie. Thank you.
Good to see you, too. So the first thing, what I want to talk about is kind of where the candidates picked, how they picked Waterbury, how Donald Trump picked Waterbury, how Bernie Sanders, Hillary Clinton staying close to New Haven. Why do you think that is?
It's very strategic. So the Clintons have ties to New Haven, but it's also about the background of residents in New Haven. New Haven has extreme wealth and also extreme struggle. Waterbury and Bridgeport are cities that tend to struggle in getting that attention. So Trump says, I want to reach out to working class voters to let them know why they should support me and not the other candidates.
Interesting. And so far, what are the messages they're sending to Connecticut voters, particularly here? What are they saying here that they're not saying in other states?
So they're saying the same thing in other states, but it's all about the focus. So you have Clinton having a discussion about gun violence with mothers who've lost their children. You then have Trump and Kasich saying we should fight against gun violence, but not at the expense of the rights, the Second Amendment rights of lawful gun owners, talking about economic development. And given the state of our state's economy, those are the messages that really resonate with voters.
Interesting. Now, I know that historically in the general election, a big registration, voter registration can be good for the Democrats. But when you see it in a primary, does that indicate anything?
Well, it indicates that voters are fed up, and they're really fed up with both political parties. 40% of people in our state are independents, but if they're not registered Democrat or Republican, they don't get to vote on Tuesday. So you see a massive number of people changing their registration to declare a party. This is the key election where it could go in favor of Republicans or Democrats. No one should take that uptick in voting registration for granted.
What do you think that means for the political climate here in Connecticut overall?
It again means that voters are saying, look, both parties are not representing our interests. That if people are losing their jobs, if they're concerned about the future for their children, they want to focus on a candidate, not just a party.
Anything else that people should be looking out for before Tuesday, before they head to the polls?
Well, I think what's important is that it's not too late if people want to participate. So if it's something that they hear today in any of those rallies or their meetings, they can go in person tomorrow and still register. But think about what those candidates are going to do, not just for Connecticut, but for the country overall, and what we're going to do in the global fight against terrorism. What happens domestically is connected to international politics.
That's for sure. Also something interesting to note, Hillary Clinton had the roundtable discussion in New Haven versus the rally that Bernie Sanders is having tonight and the rally that Trump had in Waterbury and Bridgeport. Why do a roundtable versus the big rallies that the other candidates are doing?
I think some of the candidates realize that it's personality driven, that they can command these large crowds and people get excited about the novelty of that. Clinton does much better in a one-on-one small group interaction, and it's about the ability to have a substantive conversation and not just talking points.
So you think she does better in that setting and maybe some of the other candidates don't do as well?
Definitely. So we've seen large crowds come out to these rallies. The key is to get them to the polls on Tuesday.
We've seen Trump, Kasich came through. The only person that didn't come through the state, Senator Ted Cruz, has he just given up on Connecticut?
I think he's given up on Connecticut, but it's really a misstep for him not to make an appearance here. This is the first time in a long time where Connecticut is at play and where Connecticut's delegate count could really benefit those candidates. Numerically, he may not win the nomination, but to not come to the state means that voters will say, do you even care about our issues?
Do you think that he could make a surprise stop? I mean, he has a few days.
Well, in this election, anything could happen. Nothing surprises me about election 2016 anymore. But I think that if he wants to be taken seriously, he should at least come through.
All right. Dr. Kalila Brown-Dean,
thanks, Stephanie.
Thank you so much. Always interesting to have you. Of course, we want to mention that the deadline for online registration has passed, but don't worry, you can still register in person at your town hall or city clerk's office by noon tomorrow. So you still have some time. You can head there before work tomorrow. And for more information, you can always head to our website, WTNH.com. Once again, click on that on-air tab, pull it down to the Good Morning Connecticut Weekend section.